The Justice Secretary has pledged to send foreign criminals packing.
Yeah, it's all part of what is going to have to be a law change. It's been proposed by Shabana Mahmood, who's the Justice Secretary. And she says it could save taxpayers £54,000 a year per prisoner place.
Well, it comes as the government says almost 5,200 foreign national offenders have been deported since 2024. But that'll be under the current rules, of course. Now,
Reform UK have been talking about this for quite some time. They insist that deportations like this can't actually happen until we leave the ECHR. And the Minister, Alex Davis-Jones, says the government is ready to face any legal challenges.
We are, of course, ready for any legal challenges, but we believe that this policy is robust. We are doing the right thing here by the British taxpayer, by the British citizens, and we are ensuring that we are committed to their plan for change and doing what they think is right.
Let's talk to political columnist for The Sun, Trevor Kavanagh. Trevor, good to see you. Look, whatever the Minister says there, it sounds like they're very late to the party.
Yes, that's one of the biggest questions that leaps out of your interview there. And why did it take so long? And indeed, has this been cleared by Lord Hermer, the human rights-obsessed Attorney General? Will this actually get off the ground is the biggest question, really, because there will be appeals, and we are still members of the European Court on Human Rights, and we'll abide by their jurisdiction on that. So it'll be interesting to see the next step. Will anyone actually leave who has been locked up in this country for the country they came from?
I mean, you can almost anticipate the feeding frenzy that it's going to be for lawyers. Yes,
well, this is the mainstay of their income at the moment in Britain is illegal immigration and trying to keep people here. I mean, look, what we have here is a government which is plainly running scared of the success of the Reform Party led by Nigel Farage in making this the issue of the moment, and indeed of the year, and will be for the 4 years till the next election. The government is desperate to do something, but absolutely enmeshed in its own limitations, which are put upon it by the human rights laws that it is a slave to. There is no way, I think, that they're going to simply reject all appeals that are going to be lodged immediately at the very first moment. They're going to have to go through them, and they are interminable, as we have seen in the past, and unless they bring in a new law, which I don't think they've indicated they are planning, we will have to go through the same machine.
What I can't quite get my head around is just, because it's not really being viewed in this way, is how much of a complete and utter U-turn this is. When this has been mentioned to ministers in the last year, and said, you know, let's clear 10,000 people out of our prisons because we've got this huge backlog. We can't do it because it would not be justice for the British people. They've been dead set against doing this.
Absolutely, and that's why you can tell that this is an action of sheer panic, because of the way that Nigel Farage is mopping up Labour voters, Tory voters and voters of all times, all ages, all classes. And mainly the issue is centred on the question of illegal immigration, and especially the people coming across in boats. And that has captured the attention of the public now in a way that they're prepared to show their anger more than at any point in the past. It's been simmering for a very long time, probably for 20 years, but it's reached a climax now with the combination of the demonstrations that are going on every weekend over Gaza, which has linked the whole issue together. You've got people who are worried about people of another culture, we have to put it politely, coming to this country and doing things that we disapprove of.
In all your years and experience as a political editor through various governments, I don't know how many governments you've been through, but have you ever sensed this public sense of disaffection, disillusionment in politicians and governments?
No, and it's built up since the Conservative Party left the country in a mess after 14 years of quite startling mismanagement. But I think that this is something that's been building very slowly, with frogs in the saucepan, so to speak, over the last 20 years since the open borders of the Blair government, and has grown since the numbers of illegals have visibly been coming across the channel in those boats. And we know that a huge financial industry is being perpetrated by these criminal gangs. But most of all, you've got hotels visibly being occupied, luxury hotels across the country, by people who have no right to be here and are alien in culture to those villages and towns where they now live. And also for the people who live there, many of whom aren't very well off themselves, and some of them looking for a home, they are absolutely furious to see people being handed luxury hotel rooms, mobile phones, instant access to the NHS, and many privileges that they themselves, as British-born taxpayers, have no access to.
You mentioned that the government's running scared of Reform UK and Nigel Farage, and there is no doubt they're polling extremely well because they're saying what people want to hear. How difficult do you think it is going to be from the position they're in now as a political party to actually get to a point where they are able to govern and have got suitable policies in place for all areas of government?
Well, I think for the Conservative Party, they're beginning from a very difficult position because of those 14 years of misrule, which I think they acknowledge themselves, that we had nearly 1 million coming through, migrants coming through, which were legal up until the end of the Tory term. And we still have the illegal migrants coming through as well. So they are responsible for the anger that was already simmering before Labour came in and threw petrol on the flames. I don't know how the Conservative Party is going to recapture that trust that kept them in power for so many years through the post-war period. But they have to do something quickly, and they have to do something headline-catching, and they have to do something that people believe, and they haven't begun to do it yet.
What's your prediction for the next general election?
Well, as things stand at the moment, I think it's a racing certainty that the Labour government will be dumped, deservedly, in the opinion of not just myself, but probably millions of voters who feel as if they've been duped by Keir Starmer and his MPs and ministers. And I think that unless the Tories do get their act together, there is also a racing certainty that Nigel Farage will be the leader of the next government. I mean, there's plenty of time between now and the next election for him to make a mistake, for him to trip and fall flat on his face. But as things stand at the moment, it's going exactly the opposite direction.
OK, Trevor, good to see you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, it's the biggest issue with reform at the moment is, will they implode before the next election? Because if they do manage to properly pull it together and create a strong top team and all the rest of it and come up with some policies that are going to cover everything in government, they seem like an unstoppable force at the moment.
Yes, but interestingly, I mean, both the Tories, particularly Robert Jenrick, who we had on the programme yesterday, and now clearly Labour are trying, although they seem to be flailing a bit, to take some of those ideas from reform and do something about them themselves. But it doesn't seem to be working for them yet.
Well, it doesn't. Well, the interesting thing is what Robert Jenrick is doing is very interesting, I think, because he's almost like a very proactive leader, but he's not the leader.
No, he's not. But that puts him in a very interesting position.
It does, doesn't
vis-a-vis reform. I mean, would he, in 3 years' time, if he's become a bit of a superstar because he's actually launching himself out there and doing interesting things, if he becomes a bit of a political star, would he really want to lead the Tory party, which by then would it have rebuilt itself into a power?
Well, it depends.
Or would he prefer to defect to reform?
But if he defected to reform, of course, he wouldn't be leader.
No, he
He'd
wouldn't.
have to play second fiddle or third fiddle. But would that be a price worth paying?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to be said. I think
Fascinating, isn't it?
I think it's in the run-up to the next election, seeing if the Conservatives have got themselves back in shape, and if they haven't, how many of their top team will start moving across to reform before the election.
If reform want them.
If reform want them.
Reform might need experienced politicians at the top.
It's interesting,
Fascinating.
isn't it?